tribulations of like the economy's going into a recession. Like, okay, what do we do? I guess we'll like paint the rooms like bright colors, and like hopefully that makes tours more interesting and gets parents to come in. Like,
welcome to Clicks and Bricks Podcast. We talk about the entrepreneur mindset.
If you get one shot at this, what kind of shot are you going to take?
If we forget who we are, they're going to forget who you are.
And you've got an adversity story that's out of this world.
Everything from that Main Street brick and mortar to that billion-dollar manufacturer.
Lane, thank you for joining us today. Super excited to have you on the show. Before we learn about your business, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your upbringing, and just, the core of who you are?
Thanks, Ken. Yeah. So I grew up in Chicago, Illinois, and I come from the parents or grandchild of small business owners. So my grandmother, my business is called Marion Relationship Marketing. My grandmother is named Marion. That was her name. So that's the origin of our business name. My grandmother started she was 50 something years old and had no business starting a business, but she saw a need for a preschool and daycare in the suburbs of Chicago. And so she, at like 55 years old, started a business. And I went to that at preschool as a preschooler, and my parents took it over when my grandmother retired, and I cleaned chairs at that preschool. I watched kids occasionally. I fixed stuff there. That small business put a roof over my head. It put food on our table, and it paid for my college. And so I serve small businesses now. And I usually like to say that like I started on the other side of the table, where like I understand kind of the tribulations of like the economy's going into a recession. Like, okay, what do we do? I guess we'll like paint the rooms like bright colors, and like hopefully that makes tours more interesting and gets parents to come in. Like just little, just like stuff if you're a small business, you don't have a budget, what do you think of to do? And so I got started in marketing. I originally thought I would be a fantasy sports writer. If you Google me, you will find some of my content on like baseball. But I graduated with an English degree, and which made me qualified for just nothing for any sort of job. No one would hire me. And so our company that was doing our digital marketing at the time said, we have positions open in a new product, but you have to move to Texas. And so it was the only job I got. And so I moved to a state that I'd never been to and started a new job, my first job. And it was kind of in, content, social media, reputation management, that sort of thing for blogging for like local businesses. And I just loved it. I just got really into like helping all the clients and figuring out how to do more stuff for them. And it happened to help that I met a lot of other like northern transplants that really that also just had the same background and were kind of away from their families. And so that's why my business partner is now like one of the guys that I met like 11 years ago. And and so I just never looked back. I've just been trying to grow from that into like learning Google ads and Facebook ads and SEO and how to build websites and try to learn everything you possibly can. Got recruited to a small agency of 4 people. That's when I started working remotely before it was cool, like 6 or 7 years ago. Didn't meet my bosses for 3 months. Right. And that's like the norm now. That company grew from 4 people to 14 people. We were an Inc. 5000 fastest growing company a few times. And that's where I really learned how to not just do marketing, but how to like build a business and how to build an agency, how to do operations. I was allowed to do a lot of things that were like way outside of my resume, things that I would never been allowed to do at bigger companies, but we were small and needed a lot of things. And so I had the privilege of being allowed to learn a lot and make a lot of mistakes. And, with that experience, I eventually kind of figured out, okay, like I can probably do this myself. And here we are.
Wonderful. I'm super curious. What year were you writing for fantasy sports?
Oh gosh, like 2008 to 2011, probably.
Okay, so that was around the time the NFL or the NBA, Major League Baseball pulled all the stats from the market, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think if I had to deal with that or not. I don't know. I remember staying up late watching like what really killed me was I would work all day and then I'd stay up late watching like Dodgers games that I didn't care about.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about fantasy sports after the show. I go way deep into the fantasy sports world on the hosting side. My company was founded through a company called CDM Fantasy Sports that was one of the major fantasy sports teams, sports leagues in the world back in the day. They're still functioning today. But
did they own like fantasyfootball.com?
Hundreds of fantasies.
Okay.
Yeah. They ended up selling to Dish Network years ago. But
okay.
Anyway, that's a whole different set of conversation. If you did sports writing for fantasy sports prior to like 2002, 2003, it was probably CDM that you were doing it for in some fashion. But
yeah, I know who CDM is. Yeah, that's great. It's crazy.
So still friends with the founders. Still work on that stuff every once in a while. So it's a lot of fun to get back into that mindset of the fantasy sports world. Lots of challenges in that world to overcome. So wonderful. So now you have your own firm. How long ago did you start your firm?
Started January 1st, 2019. So
January 1st, 2019, and then probably the first year was amazing, and then 2020 hits.
Yeah. So we have been blessed to be a totally referral based business up to the last few months. I had one client that I'm in Dallas, and most of our clients are in Austin, Texas, and that's because we just had a really strong referral network. About 75% of our clients are there. And so I was really lucky and blessed to be able to just, instead of having to worry about sales too much, I got to focus entirely on just building a great customer service experience and just doing great work, frankly. And that was what helped grow us initially. My partner joined me in April 2020. We signed the paperwork the day Texas shut down. And I think it was just the way that we interact with clients. Our size really helps with this, but we basically at that point, like, threw out the playbook and just went to every single client and said, what do we need to do to help you continue to survive? And so we were getting into videos and doing stuff that we had just never done before, just to keep the lights on for these guys and for us. And it worked. I mean, we have a jeweler that's had record years the past 2 years, in 2020 and 2021. So it's actually worked well. We hired someone. We hired our first employee in October of 2020. So there was that first dip of the first couple of months, but after that we leveled out and we were able to do pretty well throughout the whole experience.
Growing up, you're not unfamiliar with owning a small business, right? Grandparents own a small business, your parents take it over. But growing up in the house, did your parents run that daycare as a small business, or were they employed at a W-2 job? No,
they ran that business. They owned it, not the entire time. I think they took it over when I was, 12 or 13 or something like that.
So pretty much you got to grow up with having parents that owned a small business. So you understood they're responsible for their own medical insurance and bringing in any money. And if there's a shortfall, you eat it, right? As the owner.
Oh yeah. Actually, one of the things that I remember is my dad telling me that he would get, and I told him I was getting into marketing. We were talking about sales and whatnot. And he was like, yeah, I get 5 calls a day from marketing companies trying to sell me Google ads. And that has always stuck out as me wow, how do I not do that? How do I grow without, and just understanding that's what they're getting every day. So how do you stand out in that field? that's always been the biggest challenge with like sales and in kind of what you try to like an oversaturated market is like, how do you stand out from someone that when in a market that all you need is a laptop to really say you're a business owner, you know?
Barrier to entry is really low to buy Google ads and Facebook ads. Unfortunately, the barrier to entry is really low, but the ability to have the knowledge base to be good at it is wildly different.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I have always struggled getting into that market. And I dabble in that market a little bit, but only if a client's like, hey, will you do this for me? I explain to them, sure, we'll take on this job for you, but it's not something we try to actively market. I really struggle with, and I'm curious to see how you feel about this, putting yourself in line with the fly-by-nighters, right? And how do you differentiate yourself? Because you're not just in a competitive market. I think you're probably in one of the most competitive markets in the United States today.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a really deep topic that we think of now. So we're starting to finally get into doing our own sales, and we hired a salesperson. And so, it's how do you, everyone has a website, everyone can make themselves sound really good. What do you do to kind of, you said, display your knowledge that you have that other people don't? And so what I've started to use the term a lot of like, how do you like build authority for yourself digitally? And so I think there's a few different ways we do that here. Namely, it's first of all, it's reviews. And so you're getting your reviews on Google and whatnot, but we've tried to take that a step further and get like video reviews done. I think clients really want to see, it's one thing to see the words on the page, but they really want to see the faces, hear your clients' voices, hear them talk about your, hear your clients hit the same pain points that they have. We always hear every single call we hear is like, my past agency burned me. It's burned me. It's the word burned, and they feel like they've been betrayed. And so they have this like, well, they're reluctant to trust another agency. How do you do that? Well, you have to hear people like you describing how they felt the same way, but hey, then Marion came along, and then here's Lane and Ryan and Jeff, they came along, and they taught me how to love again. And then how do you do that? Right? Describe like, what is the difference? Like, why are you different than somebody else? Why can I trust you? Okay, great. You drove results for that guy. I should be getting results for you, but like, why can I trust you?
Right.
And so I think from that next stage after testimonials and really having case studies and describing how you do things, I think it comes down to really having a, what would I call this? A kind of like a bill of rights. I think it's just referred to as like kind of a client bill of rights, where here is what you can guarantee you will get from me. Because this marketing is why I can't necessarily guarantee you're going to get a 30x return on investment, even though I got it for this other guy and I can show you that, right? I mean, there is an inherent amount of like a little bit of risk here. But what I can guarantee you is that you're going to have the rights to everything that I build for you. So if I build you a Google Ads campaign, I'm not going to hold that hostage from you. Like, you get to keep that. That's yours. That's your data. That's your property. If you allow me to if you give me access to your website, or if you pay me to build a website for you, that's yours. I'm not going to keep that hostage from you. You're not going to have to like redo that website process over again with another company.
Right.
Also, like we do everything month to month. So a lot of, if you're not getting tied into which has inherent risks for us, but like for clients, if you're not getting tied into a 6-month engagement, you're not on the hook to pay us for 12 months. If you don't feel like this is working, there's nothing keeping you here. And so like that lessens the risk a little bit, that like you can go whenever you would like. The third kind of guarantee that we make to clients, that you will always have access to everything that we make for you or that you have always had. So like you will have like super admin access to your Google business page, to your Google Analytics account, to your Google Ads, to your website. We have a dashboard, a reporting dashboard. You can always see in real time, like what is happening with my, we use if you're familiar with like CallRail, it's a phone tracking tool. Yeah. So we use CallRail. Our clients get an email for every single phone call they get through the website with like the source attached and whether it's a good lead or not. We take it a step further and we have a team that listens to every phone call and rates them and tags them and actually puts the name of the customer in there. And so at the end of every month, you're going to see, hey, this is how much I spent on marketing. And this is how many real leads I got. Not, hey, you got 150 phone calls and it was like 5 marketing agencies calling you every day. No, you got like 25 good calls. And those calls were from Steve, Joanna, Ryan, and John. And you can like, let's look at your CRM and let's like compare these. Like if you're at, hey, like, did you make me money this month? Like, okay, well, here are their names and addresses and phone numbers. Let's see if you did business with them. And we can come up with like a real return on investment. Right. And so you're going to know, you're going to know if this isn't working. Like, I physically cannot hide it from you. And I make it really easy for you to leave me. And I do all of these things at my own risk. And, but it's because like, we know the results are going to be there. Right. And so you're going to want to stay with us for the long term. And we're, happy to say that, we have a really good retention rate. And, like I said, we've been, we've made it, 3 years through COVID being entirely referral based. So I think we're doing something right. And now it's just kind of back ending into like, getting it out there on the web, really doing building our social media presence and our own authority, building the team to free us up, my partner and I to go do those activities that we've done for our clients, like for ourselves now. So the internet has done a lot of wonderful things for the world, a lot of bad things too, but we'll focus on the positive. And, it's definitely bridged the gap of communication and information and education, all those things. But today it's never been better for local services, like the Maps integration, being able to advertise on that. And I think what you're doing is great for local businesses, local direct marketing. Now, a lot of companies, very, very simple, right? Dentist, broken tooth. I know a campaign that I can plug and play and that will get results. Very easy for Google Ads. There's a lot of companies out there, though, that don't necessarily know who their product is for. They haven't really narrowed down who their key client is. So let's say local gyms, local yoga studios, local birthday paint shops like that, right? How important is that knowing who your ideal client is, and how do you educate somebody the difference between their ideal client and all the other people that their product might serve? That's a really good question. Are you asking that in reference to our clients, like how we market our clients, or how do you coach your clients through that process, right? I know that a lot of times I'll sit down with a business owner and I'm like, who do you serve? Like, oh, our product can serve everybody. I'm like, okay, I understand that, but who's your ideal client? Because that's who we want to market to, right? How important is having that ideal client persona down and then marketing to that versus marketing to just everybody else that their product or service might be able to service? Yeah, I mean, the importance of that continues to reinforce itself. I think for me, like the more work I do, it almost becomes the most important thing. When you're being inundated, when you're a client or a customer that is being inundated with ads, information constantly, more than ever before, the way to stand out is really you have to funnel down to like a niche audience and really speak to their specific pain points, or they're not going to listen to you. And right. So it's incredibly important when you're doing, yes, I think advertising, but I think your website copy becomes really important as you like design, hey, like, who am I speaking to? And how do they feel? Right. And so because you can't, but everyone has different problems. And so you can't possibly speak to everybody and get them to listen to you when there's probably 3 other people that are speaking to them better. And then you end up marketing to nobody. So I think a really good example of this is we have a custom jeweler. He has 2 locations, and he is a private by appointment only jeweler. And so like he's upstairs, there's no sign. You have to go like find him basically.
Right.
And so with him, his start, like he is like his biggest bottleneck for his business. The most valuable asset that he has is his time. He can only see one customer at one time. He can't have 10 salesmen in that room seeing 10 different people. So like so every client that walks into that room we have to make sure that he's getting high level clients, which is what he can do. Like he can go get any diamond you want. He has like 11, we're running campaigns right now to get for people that want like 10 carat plus diamonds right now, because he's one of the few guys that can get them. And so that time spent is really valuable. And so how we have positioned him is that I always say that like, we do not sell diamonds. Diamonds Direct sells diamonds. Sells diamonds. We sell an experience of the private jeweler. If you are a guy that has, 5 figures to spend on a diamond, you do not want to go into a room with like 5 or 6 other couples, talk to some jeweler that's not really a jeweler. He's like, in my experience, the guy told me he was actually like an amateur golfer. And I'm like, why would you tell me that? But anyways, my jeweler was so confident that he was like, go to a big box store, look at all of their different designs, and then come back to me. I know you will. And yeah, sure enough, the guy told me he was an amateur golfer. So like, why would you do that when you have that much money that you're going to spend and you want something really special? Like, no, like you want to have a private experience where you can like bring your girlfriend if you want. You're going to get like Balcones whiskey poured for you. You're going to get champagne. You're going to sit down. You're going to be able to like touch and handle like any diamond that you want. You're going to be able to she's going to be able to look at everything. There's no glass cases there. You want to have we design something called the diamond date night, which is where you go and he will actually book a dinner for you to go. So it's a surprise, like kind of the engagement before the engagement kind of thing where, so like he books a dinner for you. So it's a surprise. She thinks you're going on a date. No, you're going to you're going to a private jeweler first. Nice. All designed around speaking to this like higher income audience. And it's obviously, I said he's had 2 record years, so it's worked rather well. So it's something that we've actually been working on ourselves. And so we work on like local service-based businesses, and we have found personally that like, I think that's too broad for us. We do great work for all those people. It's not that it won't work, that what we do won't work for all of them, but when you're getting, again, 5 calls from marketing agencies every day, you really need someone. The only way you're going to get your attention is by someone speaking to like, no, I work with your industry. I know what works specifically for you, divorce attorney, or you, sleep apnea doctor. And I have a strategy that no one else has. That's why you should listen to me. And so we've been working really hard ourselves on kind of taking that medicine and developing guides and content really around that are like, industry specific, really niching down to the specific needs of like what the legal industry needs. And I think it's incredibly important. Okay.
I've got a couple questions based off of that whole deal. But for a small business owner today, service base that solves a problem, right? These are key fundamentals that you have to know. You have to market. You have to be service based. You have to solve a problem. You have to know what that problem is, right? So if you're a gym, maybe you're getting people slim, or maybe you're just getting them relaxed. They're getting rid of their frustration. You have to know what your problem is. Now, all these small business, and I talk to small business owners by the dozens, right? Like every single day I'm talking to small, medium-sized business owners. I love them. we're cut from the same cloth. What did you see as the biggest misconception from a small business owner today and their marketing services?
Biggest misconception from small businesses to their, as in like how they are marketing themselves, or from
what
like
they think marketing is, right? Or online marketing, right? Because I think my experience is that a lot of small business owners understand what marketing was 15 years ago. I buy a radio ad, it's really expensive. It might work, it might not. I buy a TV ad, it might work, I might not. I love the value savers. I think that mailing coupons out to every house in the neighborhood is a brilliant idea. But when it comes to online marketing, I see they're frustrated. They don't know what to do. They've been burned a couple of times probably if they've tried it. What is the biggest misconception or a couple misconceptions that they have about what they need to do going into and creating an online marketing campaign or hiring somebody like you to do it? You need their input, right? You can't do this. You cannot build a campaign for a small business without their help.
Oh yeah. There's let me think. So I think one misconception there is when you're assessing the difference between traditional marketing and digital marketing, is there is a disconnect between how clients perceive value. So when you're doing TV and you're doing radio or even a mailer, you have this big, like you go and you get filmed, or you have like a script written for you, and then, or you have something like printed and made for you, and then it goes live and they tell you, hey, if you want to see your TV ad, you can see it at 2:10 p.m. on ABC. Right. And they go and they can see their ad and they're like, there I am. Like, here's the value. And they're like, I'm famous now. And like, I can talk to my friends about how I'm like a big time business owner because I have a TV ad, and I can get a copy of it, and I can do stuff with it, or I have like a mailer, and like everyone in town, like I can hold my mailer. Like, it is like TV and radio, and some of these things are, radio is not exactly physical, but you know what I mean? Like there is
right.
It feels more tangible because I can see it whenever I want to see it, the moment I want to see it, and I can tell people about it, and I can share it with people, and it makes me feel cool. When I sell Google ads, it's, hey, you're going to show up for some keywords, not all of the time. But trust me, you're getting leads from it. And like, that's like not that exciting of a pitch. And so half the time, and so one of the things I learned from my last company and my last boss was, he always said, like, you have to take live screenshots of the ads for like good keywords and send them to them when they start the campaign. They have to see themselves on top of the search engine immediately, or else they will not be able to connect the dots from the ad to their phone ringing. And so you have to kind of create that notoriety, but then you have to take it a step further, because like clicks are, because look, at the end of the day, like, we're all business people, and like the end of the day is no one cares about clicks on your ad. Like no one really cares if people go to your website if they don't buy something. And so everyone knows that, but to them on their end of the line, they don't see the client, they don't see the customer like go on their phone, click the ad, go on the website, click the phone number, and then call you. They only have their phone ring. They don't know if that phone call came from Google or came from their buddy, from their BNI network, or from a referral from past customer. And so like I go to one of the things that I pledged to do when I started the company, and when we I learned from my last thing is like you have to build a ridiculous, like you have to overprove what you're doing. And so like that's why CallRail was really important to us, was because you could literally say like, here is a person, her name is Maria. Here is a recording of her calling you and you talking to her and buying something from you and scheduling an appointment with you. Here it is attached to that, like to Google ads. Here is the keyword that she searched. And then like when we first start with clients, like we specifically like call them and show them, hey, like this is your first lead from marketing. How did it go? Right. And like drill it in that like, hey, this is why this happened. This is why you made money. And so like, that's a big disconnect that we are always trying to work on getting through in the first 90 days. I mean, we usually typically say that if like, we're either going to lose the client in the first 90 days or they are going to stay with us forever.
Right.
And so we build like a lot of touch points around reinforcing that relationship within the first 90 days to make sure they understand like, hey, what am I getting for my money? How much is this returning to my business? How much am I being able to grow my business through what I'm doing? I would say that's probably the biggest misconception challenge that we usually try to have to overcome.
Right. Lane, I love that explanation. And it's also important for your customers and any business owner out there in the world. When you make a transaction with a client, you're doing a couple of things, right? You're taking their money for your product or service. Now, a lot of people think they're done at that point, but if your client has to put in any amount of effort to get the product or service, then you have to help them along with that product, with that next step, right? You do it by showing them the screenshots of, hey, here you are. You're a gym owner, you got to get them exercising and get them losing weight quickly. If you're getting them calls, you got to get them calls quickly, right? They had to see that. I think 90 days is pushing it, right? Within a couple of days, they're going to need to see something in our world of 3 seconds to get somebody's attention, right? I think they want to hit I want to buy my marketing service now, and they want their phone ringing off the hook in about 10 seconds. You've
hit on kind of the other big one. Yeah. Is that like, I paid you money and so I should get something immediately. That's what we're used to, right? Like I go to the grocery store, I give them money, I get salad or I get ice cream. Most things are like that. Marketing is not, especially when it's digital marketing. Even with radio, like I give them the radio company money, I get my ad and I get to hear it. With digital, it takes, and they expect it to happen immediately. And so you really have to bring them along on like, it really comes down to like, hey, I have to show them that I'm doing things constantly. Right. And so that is usually what we focus on in the first month is kind of progressively hitting them with new things that we are building and delivering to them. So it's like, here are improvements to your Google My Business page. Here's 10 other listings that we just built for you. Here's a brand guide that we made for you. They're like, do you even know what a brand guide is? Well, here you got one now. And like, here's your first phone call that you've gotten from the web. Here is your reporting dashboard now. And this like local grid report, like you've never seen one of these things before. It's really trying to show progress, while the leads are building and you're trying to build their presence. And especially with something like with Google ads and new clients, I mean, some clients aren't ready for Google ads. Like that's the thing that they really need, but like their website is not ready. Like I'm not, I told them we have a commercial refrigeration client that we just brought on. And like, I told them like, we can't, like, you need to do Google ads. You cannot start this for a month. Like you have to really pay us to like move you from Austin to Houston, change all the website copy, update your logo, update all your information. We got to get you some reviews. And then we will start spending $35, $40 a click on commercial refrigeration repair. If we don't do all these things first, you will just throw $2,000 down the drain. I can't do that to you. And so like he was antsy month one. I mean, it was tough, but he to his credit, he stayed the course with us. He trusted us. And now he's getting like, we started the Google ads and now he's getting, big clients, like, 2 or 3 a day. You nailed it. That's a big one too, is it doesn't happen overnight. Like sometimes depending on the client, it takes some building before the results start pouring in.
Right. So obviously you've got refrigerator repair guy. That is a very straightforward kind of service, right? I repair refrigerators. I find that most companies, small businesses that I deal with, they have 3 or 4 different things that they do, right? Dentist, for example, fixes broken teeth, but he also does teeth whitening. In that kind of scenario, do you recommend multiple campaigns for that or one campaign for the brand? Or I guess you could really do 3 campaigns of branding and then one for each. I guess the question is, if they have multiple services, is it a separate campaign for each one of those services and a separate strategy and tactics?
Yeah, when you're talking about, so when we're looking at like holistic kind of, we deal first with like marketing presence. So can people find you? Do they want to work with you if they find you? That's really what we have something called foundational marketing. That's kind of our core program. It's going to cover all of your analytics and reporting, and it's going to manage your website. It's going to manage all of your listings, Google business pages, Apple Maps. Most people don't know how to claim their Apple Maps, despite like most of America having iPhones. It helps with like consulting and all of that. And that really helps our clients get time back in their business so they can focus on serving clients instead of chasing clients. It helps them. It helps people understand, like, when people Google their business name, do they want to work with you? Do you have a presence online that makes you feel like a real business that I want to give my money to? That not only helps your digital marketing, but like your TV and your radio and all of that, because everybody eventually ends up online. And so from there, if you have different focuses, yes, you're absolutely going to run different like Facebook ads with different visuals for broken teeth versus teeth whitening, right? And you have to speak to, like, those are two different, we talked about niching earlier, like those are 2 different pain points. Those people have 2 different like problems and fears, and like they're, the person with broken, actually in this case, they might be similarly embarrassed about smiling in that specific scenario, but right, like, and then with Google ads, you're going to have your different like keyword sets, and focusing on those specific issues with very specific ad copy and landing pages tailored towards those individual services. I think you would also have kind of in the thing of a dentist, like you would also run like dentist near me, like dentist Phoenix, that sort of thing. I think the one area where I caution clients with, especially with Google ads, is making sure that they're not spending a ton of money on their business name. I am pro spending money on your business name. But I find that a lot of times the business name traffic, Google will love to try to spend your money on it because it's really easy. And instead they will, hi Ruby, they'll end up spending like half their budget on it. And you really have to focus them in on, and you really have to like segment those things out really well so that you're not getting a bunch of credit for leads that like you probably should be getting anyways. I don't like when
chances are if they type in your business name, they're going to find you. Hopefully. Yeah,
and so you'd want it when like you have competitors bidding on your business name. Like that's a real thing that happens. You got to protect your business name. But then you don't want to take credit for that, right? Like those are separate leads. They should have a separate. You should be paying $1 per conversion on that, and that's worth it to protect your business name. It's $1. You're fine, but like you shouldn't be getting credit for a $10 cost per lead total. Like you're driving all this business for $10 when like. No, new customers are coming in for like $200.
Right.
That's different. We try to be very segmented with that, be very honest with clients, understand like what's going to what and how this is working.
Right. And it's been my experience. I'm curious to hear if you've had luck with this. If somebody is buying your business name and you've trademarked it, a cease and desist will generally stop that activity. So you can lower your and talk to your lawyer about that. But have you had any luck with that particular case scenario?
So the rule is that as long as they're not using your business name in an ad, they can bid on your business name as a keyword all they want. So when we actually run competitor campaigns for clients, so yeah, you can't. So I can't say. So if I'm the Austin Diamond Room, I can't run an ad for a keyword Diamonds Direct and in my ad say Diamonds Direct. Like that is that makes it look like I'm trying to impersonate them, and you'll get a cease and desist for that. Right. And sometimes that happens because like ads people will make the mistake of using like dynamic keyword insertion, and they'll accidentally mess it up. Yeah, that happens. And but if you just say, if you run an ad for Diamonds Direct, and I say, hey, Austin Diamond Room, we're better than the competitors. You can say that as much as you want, and it's not an issue.
That's a wonderful tactic as well when you're buying your keywords. If you're doing it on your own, I don't recommend buying your Google AdWords on your own. It's a crazy space that you can lose. I know that I went to bed one night and woke up $50,000 underwater the next morning. So, yes, absolutely. It was working so well. I took the cap off, and boy, oh boy, was that a giant mistake. But I was young. I was late 20s. I had plenty of time to recover.
Good. You're still here.
Those are real kinds of things that can happen to you getting into this world when you're doing ad spend and you don't know what you're doing. At the surface, it looks like, I can just buy some keywords and send them to a website, but it's really way deeper than that. There's lots of layers. It's a big recipe to have success. When you get it, it's great. But it is a lot of moving parts, a lot of analytics, a lot of understanding, and a lot of ability to change, right? Because I don't, maybe you're a better marketer than I. I've never nailed a campaign on the first try. Very frequently.
We do it. We do it fairly frequently. We kind of nail them. Okay. Not all the time.
Well, I guess I would say on a new industry for me. If I start a new industry, like divorce lawyers, I know that product. I know it. Yeah. I don't know it personally. Luckily for me, my wife is a wonderful person that deals with me and continues to. But I've launched a couple divorce lawyer firms in my career, so I'd be very confident in saying, we'll take on a divorce lawyer and excel at it. But when I first take on a new industry, it takes me maybe 3, 6, 9 months to figure out a strategy that works really well for them.
Yeah, it really, of course, it depends on the industry and how saturated it is.
Right.
Is there a lot of competition? What kind of budget are you working with? There's so many different factors that come into play that can affect how quickly you can get results. But you just touched on so many things that were really important, and now I'm blanking on what they were.
Patience, and if you don't want to risk it, this is definitely a game where if you're paying the right people, it's a shortcut to success.
Yeah. Okay. That was it. I found most of digital marketing. I'm not ashamed or afraid to say that our clients can learn or do most of the things that we do. You can get a Google My Business page and you can figure out how to get reviews, and you can add photos, and there's website builders that are pretty easy to use. You can set up a Google Ads smart campaign. There's, you can set up analytics. You can do all of these. You can write content. Right. Divorce attorneys know their market better than anybody else. They know how to speak from an expert about it. They can write all that content out, and they can probably figure out how to post a blog on their website. Right. You would pay a marketing agency to, first of all, you shouldn't be learning how to be a marketer. You should be being a divorce attorney. You're wasting every minute that you're not getting paid to be a divorce. That's $400 an hour or whatever it is that you're getting paid. Why are you building a Yelp account? Right. That's not a good use of your bandwidth, especially in an industry like that, where literally the hours are money. You pay an agency that is going to, so you can go focus on being a business owner and really focusing on clients, and also having an agency that'll do it better. That have all the little tricks, and knowing that you can add questions and answers proactively to your Google My Business page and answer questions before customers even get there. Not only helping you write content, but then tag that content, add the right meta description and data to make sure that it ranks number one for can I get a prenup after marriage? One of our clients has that featured snippet right now. And the only one, not the only one, but like one of the things that I say you should probably almost certainly get an expert to help you is Google Ads. Like you said, because that you can lose a lot of money really quickly. It is also like probably it's the best market intent marketing tool on the planet. It's why Google is $1 trillion company. It just, if you're a roofer in Austin and you want to target customers looking for roofers in Austin, you probably want to show up for the keyword roofers in Austin. But like, yeah, if you're not careful if you just throw that keyword in and have it as like a broad match keyword, suddenly you've spent, like you said, $50,000 and you're like, what happened? And you spend it on like your competitors' names, and you spend it on like roofing materials, and you spend it on anything. So that is the Google Ads is the area where I say like you should really you should get a professional to help you build that and do it right if you really want that to work, because you can get in trouble really fast.
And I would say anytime you're going to dump cash into a system, get somebody that's an expert in that system. I don't care if it's Google ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, Instagram ads. Those interfaces are so deep and complex. They look really simple and friendly on the front end, but man, they can get really wild when you get deep into it. And, luckily Facebook Meta is changing it. They just move buttons around, man. I swear they do. And, it's frustrating for somebody that does it every day, much less somebody that's going in there for just to shoot, to kill, and leave. So it's a challenge for small businesses to do this kind of stuff. And luckily there's firms like yours out there that they can lean on to get these things done. And you're servicing the Dallas-Fort Worth area, roughly.
So we have clients everywhere right now. So we have Dallas-Fort Worth, we have Austin. I have a tree service in Long Island. We have we have 2 attorneys in Columbus, Ohio. We have clients in North Texas, Oklahoma. We have Arizona. We're pretty spread out. We can really serve everybody. So yeah.
So if somebody wanted to work with your team, how would they get in contact with you?
Yeah, I mean, you go to our website, MarionRelationshipMarketing.com, and give us a call or fill out the contact form. You can find us on all the normal sites, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. We have a killer Instagram right now. The person running it is amazing. And we have a lot of ways you can reach us. You can also email me at lane@MarionRelationshipMarketing.com. We're really big on helping. Coming from the background that I come from, I want to make sure that I'm helping people and guide people well. So anybody that has questions, I'm here to answer them.
Awesome, Lane. I very much appreciate it. If there's a small business owner out there and he doesn't have he's not ready to pay somebody to do this for him yet, but he wants to do something that might get him some kind of traction to see if using online marketing or social media might help him. What would be one thing that you would tell them that they could do that would be a low cost solution that every small business owner should have, that you see a lot of small businesses might not have that all the way together yet?
I think so. We actually published a guide around kind of on that theme. You can find it at the top of our website. It's called 3 Key Practices to Building Authority for Your Law Firm. Now it's niched to law firms, as we talked about, why that is. A lot of the practices can be used it translates well to other industries, especially industries where you have you're a professional, right? So you're a lawyer, a dentist, a doctor, where you have the business owner is kind of a figurehead there, where you're trying to build authority around that person. Right. And I would say the key is it's really content around. Here's the steps. You're in consultation with clients all day. You are going to write down the 10 questions that clients most commonly ask you in your consultations. Then you're going to go and you're going to search all those questions on Google. And you're going to read the first 4 to 5. and you're going to note any of the searches, any of the questions that you searched where you said, all of these answers are garbage. They're all wrong. They're not helpful at all. You're going to then go and you're going to write the good answer. And then you're going to publish it on your website, and you're going to watch that beat all of the other answers for that one question. And you are going to get a surprising amount of business from just doing that.
Absolutely.
We have our divorce attorney. We have a blog. I mentioned this earlier. Can I get a prenup after marriage? That gets 1,700 visits a month. And I was like, he can't even handle 170 clients, let alone 1,700, right? Like, he doesn't have to show up for Divorce Attorneys Austin. He doesn't have to spend $50,000 on Google ads and try to bid with like these big law firms with 5 locations in all big Texas states. He gets to the clients he wants before the other big firms do, gets like a $30 cost per lead and just kills it. And so that's something that like you don't need a marketing degree to do. You need a legal degree actually, or you need a dental degree, right? Like you need to know your customer. And so that's a practice that anybody can do right now if you have a website. And when you start to have so much business from that and you can't write the blogs yourself anymore, then you call me, and then I write more of them for you with our team of writers that all have legal degrees. Or we go find writers that have expertise in your arena, and we handle it for you and keep it going and help you grow. So and
the dirty little secret there, if you hate typing like I do, just turn on your voice recorder and record the answer and let text, speech to text type it for you. Right? If you don't like the typing it out, just say the answer and then let just do the technology's there for you today to lean on it, to not have to do the stuff that you don't like to do that.
Yeah. If you can get a good proofreader to make sure that the machine's doing its job. Yeah. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah. So I had that struggle for a long time. And then I just started recording the answers and having those transcribed, and then Grammarly is huge for me. So I do all that, then I have the plugin Grammarly, and I pay for the premium subscription. It doesn't catch all my typos, but it catches most of them. So.
Yeah. It's doing its job. Yeah.
Yes. Lane, I appreciate the heck out of your time today. I hope we created some value for the listeners, and I think we really did. So I thank you so much for your time today, and I hope to get to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Appreciate the time.
Awesome. Have a great day.
You.
That's it for today's show, folks. If you'd like to join my text line community, the number is 314-370-2871. All you have to do to join that text line is send me any question about business or technology. I'll do all the research, and I'll give you an absolutely free, totally unbiased answer. Get to work.